Yo, what's good everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be breaking down some of my favorite cash game plays for this Week 17 NFL DraftKings main slate, and like I always do, I'll go position by position, breaking down each cash game play that sticks out to me. With that being said, let's dive into my spreadsheet here. And we're going to kick things off here like we always do in the top left-hand corner with those highest implied game totals, and we got a couple of games here that could have some shootout potential, but for the most part these games are projecting to be pretty low scoring on the main slate. Take a look down here at the highest implied team totals as well. You can always use that as a reference point as I'm going through some of my favorite cash game plays. With that being said, let's dive into the quarterbacks here, and I'm just sticking with that game here between the Lions and Bears this week. Justin Fields and Jared Goff. If you want to spend up, Fields looks nice at this price of $7,900. If you want to save some money, which is probably the route that I'll go, I like Jared Goff here. I put this in the notes off to the right-hand side. Fields has seen man coverage on 40% of his attempts against 4 teams this year: the Detroit Lions, Dallas Cowboys, Miami Dolphins, and the Washington Commanders. He scored 19.4, 26, 45.7, and 43.4 DraftKings points in those 4 games. Now, the Detroit Lions themselves haven't run less than 40% man coverage dating back to Week 8, and they very well could change that strategy here heading into Week 17, knowing that Fields has played very well against man coverage, but assuming they don't, this could be another great spot for Fields. But like I said, I'm probably going to go to the other side of this game here with Jared Goff. Not only do we get the huge price savings at $5,600, but he's been significantly better at home this year compared to on the road. I put that in the notes off to the right-hand side as well. He has 20 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, averaging 23 DraftKings points per game at home this year, compared to just 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, averaging 13 DraftKings points per game on the road. Night and day difference, like I said. Plus, this Bears defense has pretty much given up ever since they traded Roquan Smith to the Baltimore Ravens. They now rank dead last in total defensive DVOA. Now, moving over here to the running backs, and being that I do plan to spend down at the quarterback position, it's going to allow me to spend up at the running back position and or wide receiver position. I'd like to get in one of Christian McCaffrey and or James Conner, and if I can fit both of those guys, even better. McCaffrey here since Week 13 has played 70% of the offensive snaps, averaging around 22.5 touches per game and 124 total yards per game. He's obviously involved in the running and passing game. We all know this about CMC, and he's got a great matchup here against the Raiders, not only playing indoors, but this Raiders defense really hasn't been able to stop anybody all year long, ranking 31st overall in total defensive DVOA. Now, the volume for James Conner has been awesome as of late too, and even with all these quarterback changes, he remains consistent in this offense. Dating back to Week 10, he's averaging around 22 touches per game and 101 total yards per game, getting involved in both the running and passing game. And like I said, just playing very consistent. He's really been a weekly RB1 dating back to Week 10, and he's got a great matchup to do that here once again in Week 17 against this Atlanta defense, which ranks 30th overall in total defensive DVOA. Now, on the other side of that game between the Arizona Cardinals and Atlanta Falcons, I think Tyler Algier at $5,300 is in play this week as well. Haven't been able to say that about him this year, the rookie running back, but look, he's pretty much taken over this backfield here over the past 2 weeks, hitting 18 plus touches in both of those games and totaling over 100 yards in each of those games as well. And this Cardinals defense not very good against the run this year, ranking 27th overall in rush DVOA. And then as an honorable mention, I like Brian Robinson, the rookie running back for the Washington Commanders as well. Doesn't sound like Antonio Gibson is going to play here this week, making Robinson the solidified RB1. Not that he hasn't been here as of late, but there's just those extra few touches that should go Robinson's way. Sitting at a nice price here at $5,200, and he does have a good matchup here against the Cleveland Browns. The reason I put him as an honorable mention is because he hasn't really been involved in the passing game so far this year, but that very well could change this week with Gibson being out. Now, folks, before we dive into some of my favorite wide receiver plays here, 2 things. Number 1, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. And number 2, a little NFL content update here to close out the season. I will have my normal tournament or GPP plays video out tomorrow on Saturday for this Week 17 NFL main slate. However, I will not have any videos out for the Week 18 main slate, as I am taking some vacation with my dad. We're heading to Vegas to watch some hockey. But I will be back for the playoffs, for sure going to cover the NFL wildcard round, and will likely cover the divisional round as well. But I tend to just play tournaments myself when it comes to playoffs, so I'm not entirely sure if I'll have both a cash games video and a tournament video. I haven't quite made that decision quite yet, so that's TBD, but just note, no content next week, but I will be back for the playoffs. Alright, now diving into these wide receivers here, the first guy I got is Amon-Ra St. Brown of the Detroit Lions. Been a volume monster all year long and has a great matchup to expand on that this week at home against a bad Chicago Bears defense. Amon-Ra seen around a 29% target share this year, that's the 10th best in the NFL. 33% target per route run rate, that is second best in the NFL, with 21 red zone targets, fifth most in the NFL. Like I said, volume has not been an issue for him all year long, and he's got a great matchup to expand on that here this week against those Bears. Now, there are definitely some other top-tier wide receivers that I wouldn't mind paying up for in my cash lineup here this week. For example, Keenan Allen of the Los Angeles Chargers. But I really like the value we're getting at this position in Week 17 too. For example, a guy like Garrett Wilson here, we're getting Mike White back, so we like Garrett Wilson a lot more. Wilson has seen a 23% target share with Mike White, averaging around 107 receiving yards per game, and has seen a 50% end zone target share as well, 37% air yard share, 2.56 yards per route run. Needless to say, the numbers are significantly better when Mike White is under center compared to Zach Wilson, which I guess isn't saying much, but the Wilson-White connection has been very real, and again, I do like that price there at $5,500. I'm shooting for 3x value, that's 16.5 DraftKings points. Wilson is very capable of doing that. And then another value wide receiver play I like this week is Brandon Cooks of the Houston Texans. Now, honestly, I went back and forth between him and Drake London, around the same price, London there at $4,900. Look, London does have a better matchup at home here this week, and him and Ritter have had some early chemistry, albeit a small sample size. But based off of who Brandon Cooks is as a player, I gave him the slight advantage, even though he does have a tougher matchup against the Jags. Jags have not been very good at all at stopping slot wide receivers this year, but have been pretty damn good at stopping outside wide receivers. But then I saw Cook's numbers from last week and go, okay, I know he can win at times in that matchup still. Saw 30% target share last year, 9 targets, 41% air yard share, and an average depth of target of around 12.5 yards. So at $4,800, knowing what he can do with the ball in his hand, I did give him the edge over Drake London. Now, I went with one tight end here this week, but I don't want to overlook the honorable mentions because I was just reading here today on Friday that the Jags could very well rest some of their starters this week or put them on a snap count. Nothing official from the Jags, obviously, and they're probably not going to say that throughout the weekend. Why would you let the Houston Texans know that? But it is something I want to keep an eye on. If there's a beat reporter that comes out and says, hey, yeah, Jags are only going to play their starters 50% of the game, then yeah, I'll probably pivot off of Evan Ingram here. But man, since week 13, he's finished as tight end 4, tight end 1, tight end 6, and tight end 5. Over that 4-game span, he's at a 27% target share, 18% end zone share, and he's running a route on 79% of Lawrence's dropbacks. So the volume has been great here over the past 4 weeks. Still sitting at a nice price of $4,400. But if for whatever reason we get word this week that the Jags are going to be sitting their starters or limiting them on a snap count, then I'll look to pivot here to Higbee. And if I need to save the money, I think Conklin of the Jets or Woods of the Indianapolis Colts is fine as well. You're essentially punting at their prices. And there's only one defense I want to play in my cash lineup this week. That's the 49ers defense. Not only are they offering the best point per dollar value, but they're legit projected as the number 1 overall defense in week 17, going up against Raiders backup quarterback Jared Stidham. So yeah, 49ers, they're pretty much locked into my cash lineup. And as always, going to wrap up this spreadsheet here with a low-priced option or sub-4K wide receiver play. I got Greg Dortch of the Arizona Cardinals this week. Now, forgive me, I did have the pricing wrong there initially. He is not $3,400. He is the bare minimum price for a wide receiver at $3,000. Now, in 5 games that he's played at least 60% of the offensive snaps this season, he has been fantastic and really crushing value at this current price there of $3,000. You can see his fantasy production there. And per Cliff Kingsbury, the head coach, it seems like Dortch is going to be locked into a starting role this week against the Atlanta Falcons. do keep an eye on that. It could just be coach speak, but I truly believe that this guy deserves to earn a starting role here in the last 2 games to close out the season. All right, everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank you all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great weekend here, folks. Let's win some money on this Week 17 main slate. In the meantime, I'm out of here.